Hey, this is Kevin Harrison from Pixel Loadout. It's November 2nd, and there are leaks out now for Fallout 4. Currently happening right now. There's a lot of stuff going on the Fallout 4 Reddit. Most of this is probably from pre-releases or broken street dates, and there are a bunch of spoilers out there if that's your thing and you want to find out. But something that a lot of people have been wondering about is the perk list. And we finally have at least a good organization and like smattering of the entire first tier of perks that are going to be available to characters as they start up the game. We're going to go through all of the perks that are here. I'm going to put some commentary on them, and this will, help some players. But I guess we got about 8 days until the release over here in the U.S. Be able to plan their characters. Before they go in, you can use websites right now like Vault 111 to figure out where you want to put your special stats. So some stuff to note here when it comes to character building. These are all rank 1 perks. Further ranks have additional effects. We know this because Bethesda has said it, and they've actually showed it with some video stuff that you can see that there will be things that will be understandable percentage changes as you go up, but you also end up getting additional effects on top of that. So once again, we only have the first rank here. There could be some stuff that as you get more ranks they become much better than they first appear, but still, like having the rank 1 stuff lets you do some really fine-tuning to how you want to start the game out. Further ranks also have level requirements, so all the stuff that you're going to see here is all going to be available at level 1. If you have 10 points in strength or 10 points in endurance, you can get the first tier of that. Further ranks that were probably going to be like level 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 for, I know, for some of the like highest rank perks. Let's see, when you build your character, you have 28 special points. Really, though, you only have 21 because you have to have 1s in at least all of your special stats. So you have fewer perks that are fewer special stats to start with than you have in any other Fallout games. All special stats, though, they can be raised by spending perk points. This is essentially intensive training, which you'll see is the first tier above level 1 stuff. Other things, so there is no level cap in the game. They've confirmed that. There are bobbleheads in the game. We assume those are probably going to innately increase your special stats, but we don't know that for certain. There are comics that are in the game that offer up perks, but we do not know if these are unique perks or these are perks from the tree that is going to be presented in just a second. Let's see, this image that we're going to go to real quick, let's just go ahead and do that now, comes from Sozcert on the Fallout 4 Reddit. And this is probably going to be the final iteration of the perk tree. Granted, again, this is 8 days before release. There is going to be a day 1 patch, we know for certain, so balancing stuff can happen. So let's go ahead, and without further ado, we're going to go ahead and read through all these, and we'll, I'll throw in some commentary here and there from what I know based on like past Fallout games. At the top of every tree here, we're going to start with strength. Like, you'll see that there are 10 ranks in strength that you can do, and if you want to spend a level to get your points up to 10, you can totally do that, especially now that there is not going to be a cap on your level. Now, it's probably going to be worth it if you want some of the stuff near the bottom. Temporary increasing your special stats generally doesn't let you pick the special perks associated with that. At least that's been the case in past Fallout games. So rank 1 is Iron Fist. You can channel your chi to unleash devastating fury. Punching attacks do 20% more damage to your opponent. It's got 5 ranks. When it, at the top, it's probably going to be double damage on your unarmed attacks. It's kind of interesting. If you want to do an unarmed build, you actually don't really need that much strength, but we have been told that more strength is going to add an additional modifier onto your melee attacks. Still, like, if you want to put your stats somewhere else, and you want fist fighting to be your primary thing, it's kind of interesting that you can go low on that. Rank 2 here, we've got Big Leagues. Swing for the fences, you do 20% more melee damage. We actually know that the 5th tier of this, you have a chance to instantly decapitate enemies by just grand slamming their heads off. You can see that in one of the like 20-30 second Bethesda videos they released on this perk, and there'll probably be some more of these coming up soon. Rank 3, you protect yourself from the dangers of the wasteland with access to base level and rank 1 armor mods. So these are usually associated with crafting stuff as well. But we're going to see that the crafting is going to get split off into some other trees as well. As like rank 3 is not that hard of an investment. Like this is probably going to be something that a lot of people are going to want to do, unless you just want to find stuff that you find throughout the waste. So that's a possibility. Rank 4 is blacksmith. Fire up the forge, gain access to level 1 rank melee mods. So if you like using baseball bats and such, you're probably going to want this as well. Rank 5, heavy gunner. Thanks to practice and conditioning, heavy guns do 20% more damage. Probably caps out at 100%. Probably going to have better handling, less weight, things like that associated with this perk as well. If you like rocket launchers, miniguns, this is, you know, you're going to want to have at least 5 in strength to be able to boost the damage on this. Rank 6 here is strong back. Let's see, you get 25%, you get plus 25 carry weight. And I believe we've been told that more perks of this are going to make it so that you can run, or you can maybe spend action points while you're over encumbered to keep moving around, and possibly fast travel when you're over encumbered as well. So this is a personal favorite of mine because, you know, I'm a pack rat. I love hoarding stuff in Fallout games. So that's 6 points in strength if you want to invest in that. Steady aim, you can see stay on target, hip fire accuracy improved when firing any gun. Supposedly the firing controls now for this Fallout game more than any other is better than they've been prior. So you may find that hip firing, especially for certain weapons like shotguns and whatnot, may be more your thing. So this is it could be attractive. It's also noted that there's only actually 2 ranks in this, which is kind of peculiar. Let's see, number 8 here is Basher. Get up close and personal. Gun bashing does 25% more damage. This is one that people were really confused with about a long time, with the Pip-Boy image of him holding a gun. Some people thought it was like shotgun damage, but now we actually have, since we know now from the leaked Xbox Glass menu, there is a key that's devoted to both grenade as well as melee bashing with all weapons, and you can actually see it in some footage of the main character pistol whipping with one gun. It's going to be interesting to see. With the 50 base weapons, they probably all have their own melee animations, and we do know there are things like bayonets in the game. Let's see, rooted, you're part tree. While you're standing still, you get 25 damage resistance, and your melee and unarmed attacks do 25% more damage. That is a lot of damage resistance. We know that toughness, which we'll get to in a bit, I think caps out at about 50%. You add another probably 75 if we're looking at this right here. You could say it could be just charge up, stand still, and then, you know, unleash some havoc. So I wouldn't be surprised if later ranks of this made it so you're harder to knock down. And then now, let's see, rank 10, Pain Train. While wearing power armor, you sprint into enemies. Let's see, hurts and staggers them. Robots and oversized enemies are immune to stagger. We do know that there are behemoths and concept art going around for a mole rat queen and things like that. But yeah, if you just want to bowl people over, this is very similar to, I'm going to guess, like shield bashing was, well, not shield bashing, but if people remember in Skyrim, one of the high ranks for block, you could sprint while you were holding your shield up and you would ragdoll people essentially. So it looks to be very similar, but once again, it's going to be if you're in power armor, which has been completely redone in this game. Acts more like a vehicle. There is power time associated with fusion cores, which we'll get to in a bit later. So if you really want to be effective in power armor, you kind of have to start picking out a few extra perks here and there to really get the most out of it. So let's go ahead and go over up here to perception. Let's see, rank 1 here is pickpocket. You get 25% easier pickpocketing, up to 100%. If you want to make some extra cash, or you like depositing grenades, which we do know there's an achievement attached to it, is the Prankster Returns. This is something to consider picking up. Riflemen, keep your distance and keep your kill count high. Attacks with non-automatic rifles do 20% more damage. So this is single-shot stuff we're talking. Hunting rifles and sniper rifles. If you want to be the sneaky sniper, this is where you go to start getting your base damage up. And it's also, like I said, it's actually pretty low investment too. It's interesting to note what weapons are low investment for eventually getting up to double damage and which ones are a bit higher. Like we talked about, heavy weapons are a little bit more expensive to specialize in. Let's see, awareness to defeat enemies. You know, their weakness. You can target specific damage resistances. You view target specific damage resistances in VATS. So we're going to assume that different limbs have different damage resistance based on the layered armor system. So you might find that enemy has weak legs with this on, for example. And it looks like there's only one rank of this. It's probably one of those 1-point wonder type things. It's like when you're playing through the first time, it's probably totally worth an investment. Later, you might, innately know these kind of things. It seems like a good place to throw a point into, though. Locksmith, you say you can pick advanced locks. Looks like you'll have probably 5 different tiers of locks, assuming that there is one tier that you can pick without having any points in locksmith. But you may very well need at least 1 point to pick any locks to begin with. This will probably be where I throw 4 points in as soon as possible. Demolition expert. The bigger the boom, the better. Explosives do 25% more damage, and you can craft explosives at any chemistry station. So this is a perception 5. Like I said, this is the same line as heavy weapons. If you want to, be a mad bomber, you're going to have to spend a lot of points in perception to be able to pull that off. Then we have the turn of night person. You're a creature of the night. You gain 2 intelligence and perception between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. So we're going to get a little bit more information on this when we go to solar powered, but it looks like special stats can now go over 10, at least temporarily. It's similar to using like buff out from other games. With intelligence, the more of it you have, the more experience you're going to gain. And considering that you don't have a cap anymore on what your level can be, either getting to a very high intelligence in order to get more and more levels, at some point it's going to loop around. You'll be gaining a lot more. You'll be gaining more points back for the investment you're making in having high intelligence. So it's one of those things to consider. Night person, if you like being sneaky, it's probably better than it used to be, at least, just because of the intelligence having more of an impact for doing things at night. There's a second tier of this, and it's going to be interesting to see what that also encapsulates as well. Refractor, you must be part mirror. You instantly gain plus 10 energy resistance. You want to make a tough guy here. You're going to need to get some high perception as well. This is also going to be important for taking on, I'm assuming, certain factions, probably robots and Brotherhood, which we both know are in the game. If you're going up against laser weapons, probably handy to have. Sniper, it's all about focus. You have improved control, and you can hold your breath longer while aiming down scopes. So they've brought in the Call of Duty mechanic of, I think you're probably clicking in a stick, but I'm not entirely sure if you're playing on controller or something else on the keyboard. But if you want to steady your scope sway, you have a way you can hold your breath to be able to do this. I'm hoping that later tiers of this start adding like crit modifiers or something, but we're not entirely sure yet. If, once again, the Sneaky Sniper is a very popular early game build, so this is probably going to be something worth investing. Granted, 8 perception is a pretty high investment. Let's see, rank 9 here, Penetrator. There's no place to hide. Let's see, in VATS, you can target an enemy body parts that are blocked by cover with a decrease in accuracy. So your guns get to go through walls. And from some of the preliminary reports we're hearing about fighting enemies, this is not like rage level in terms of enemies dodging your shots, but they are starting to take a lot more cover and things like that. So this might end up being much more important, especially when the enemy knows that you're there, to be able to deal with them on cover. And then the ultimate perk here, Concentrated Fire. Stay focused. In VATS, every attack on the same body part gives you plus 10% accuracy. So this makes a return, and now there are 3 ranks of it. If we're going to make our regular assumption here that each one is also 10%, it probably would cap out at 30. Might be less per, just because the way that the numbers end up adding up, it just even like a small increase in the percentage accuracy can really add up to a lot just to make your shots automatically. If you're playing it on a sniper, though, you're probably not going to be able to make that many shots in VATS initially, so it's going to be kind of dubious. But if you're doing more mid to close range or using weapons that don't take that many action points, then you're going to be able to build up to the maximum quicker. So that's kind of a hard sell for me here still, though. But you know, with guns now, at least how accuracy ends up working in VATS is going to be like another thing entirely worth it analyzing. Now you don't have skills governing what that accuracy is. This might end up being more valuable than it has in the past, since it's harder to influence outside of, like, or just in VATS with outside stats. So let's go over here to endurance. Whoop. Here we go. Rank 1 is toughness, so it's worth noting that this says the person who put this together already picked one rank. We know that every rank now is plus 10 damage resistance, and here we can actually see an example of the level requirement. So your first rank of toughness is no level requirement, just have 1 in endurance, which everybody can pick. That's another thing worth noting, is that this baseline here, everybody's going to always be able to pick from stuff. But if you want the second tier of toughness, you're going to need to be level 9, which is probably going to be across the board the same for most people, for most other stuff. So, like, if we go back, for example, over to Iron Fist, you get your first rank, you know, level 1 because you decide you want to be a brawler. You're probably not going to be able to get the 40% more until you hit level 9 again. So it'll be hard to just dump stuff into one of these perks initially. You're going to have to spread things out a little bit. Going down, Lead Belly. Your digestive tract is adjusted to the weirdness of the wasteland. You take less radiation from eating or drinking. We know that radiation now, in terms of mechanically, for this game, you're going to be decreasing the amount of maximum HP your character can have. If you look through some of the footage, you can see that part of your HP bar, instead of just missing, is actually turned red. And the portion that's red you cannot regenerate while it's irradiated. So the more and more radiation damage you end up taking, the less maximum hit points you're going to have, to the point where it's going to probably be untenable. So this is one of those things, it's like a trade-off of dealing with the wasteland food and whatnot that's irradiated. Like, you get back health, but you're losing maximum health eventually every time until you find some way to cure it. So keep going here. Life Giver, you instantly gain, it says another 20 maximum health, so we're going to assume the first rank is plus 20 maximum health, and then that's another 20 on top of that. But this has 3 ranks, and it looks like the second rank you get a level 8, so the second and third ranks are not, you know, only every, you know, an additional 8 levels. Some of them are every 7 or something like that, or they can change completely. Let's see, Endurance 4, Chem Resistance, all the rush without the hassle. You're 50% less likely to get addicted when consuming chems. This only has 2 ranks, so the second rank could possibly be 100% less likely, or I mean, essentially you don't get addicted at all. That kind of seems unlikely. My guess is that the first rank is 50, the second rank is 75%. So that is my guess is where it probably caps out, but just a guess. Aqua Boy, water is your ally. You no longer take radiation damage from swimming and can breathe underwater. We don't really know what the presence of water activities are going to be in this game, but even still, if just oh, actually, you know, that's the second rank right there of Aqua Boy. It looks like he already has 1 point invested in there. My guess is the first rank of Aqua Boy makes it so you can hold your breath longer and you don't take as much radiation damage. And then the second would make sense why you'd be able to breathe underwater completely. But then the second doesn't have a level rank on it. Okay. If we go back up to Chem Resistant, then it's probably 25% at the first rank and then 50% as the second. Still, 2 points in there to be able to breathe underwater. That seems still pretty good. Rad Resistance. This is Endurance 6. Exposure to the wasteland has made you more resilient, instantly granting plus 10 radiation resistance. Talked about the radiation mechanics now, so you make a judgment call if, you know, having more resistance so you don't lose as much HP is as valuable to you. Probably going to be more dependent on how often you can get your hands on Radaway. Adamantium skeleton. Your skeleton has been infused and with indestructible metal, reducing your limb damage by 30%. Probably going to be diminishing returns on further ranks, though there is the possibility that rank 3 makes it so that you can't be crippled. But we do know that limb crippling is back because of this. So if you don't like dealing with having your limbs crippled for whatever reason, like because it can be an annoying mechanic, this is where you go. Cannibal, feast on mortal flesh to heal your wounds. Eating human corpses restores health. It's really high up in the endurance tree, so if you want to be this kind of guy, you're going to have to make a big investment into it. I'm going to assume, like we've had in past Fallout games, that if allies or NPCs see you eating corpses, that does not go over well, so keep that in mind. Ghoulish, you're still human on the outside. Radiation now regenerates your lost health. I'm guessing that this still makes it so that you're going to lose out on maximum HP, but if you're getting irradiated, you're probably going to be regenerating health up to a point. So, once again, very dependent on how often you're getting irradiated. We do know that there are weapons now that specifically deal out like it's a new damage type. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And now solar powered, you catch some rays, you gain +2 strength and endurance between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. 3 ranks on there. It's worth noting that you have to have 10 endurance to even take this perk to begin with. So you have 10 endurance, this is giving you an extra 2 on top of that. So the game will let you have at least up to 12. For the endurance stat, probably for the other stats as well, maybe even more than that. Essentially, between 6 a.m. 6 p.m. you're going to have more health, and I don't know if it's with endurance, I think it is with endurance and agility. I think that the more endurance you have, the less AP you spend when you sprint. So yeah, probably further ranks up are going to give you the HP regeneration feature that was with other instances of solar powered in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Charisma. I believe we've actually seen most of this tree from videos that we've seen before, and this is probably the biggest deviation from any other Fallout games, because it seems like this is the tree to go if you want the pacifist-ish playthrough. We also know that there are charisma checks in-game. There will be dialogue options that will be highlighted orange or red if your charisma is too low. I think orange means it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to pull off that dialogue option, and red is even less likely. So I believe it's kind of similar to, it's like a fusion between New Vegas and Fallout 3. Like there's a percentage chance when you start not having high enough charisma. So if you want to solve things non-violently, this is where you want to go. Rank 1 Charisma, Cap Collector, your buying and selling prices of vendors are much better. 3 ranks, this person started with 1 rank here. The second rank, it's worth noting, you have to be level 20. Lady Killer, you're charming and dangerous. Women suffer +5% damage in combat and are easier to persuade in dialogue. So this also goes for, female version is going to be Black Widow, and that goes against males. And I'm guessing that it just increases the damage and gives you better persuasion choices. It's kind of interesting that there aren't the homosexual versions of the trait like they have been present in I think it was maybe just New Vegas. So you can't be a man and do more damage to other men targets and have that persuasion option. It's going to be interesting to see if the enemy types are more evened out than they were in the past. Generally, what was it? Black Widow ended up being more favorable than Lady Killer just because male versions of enemies in the Waste were far more common than female versions. Lone Wanderer, who needs friends anyway. When adventuring without a companion, you take 15% less damage and your carry weight is increased by 50. This seems incredibly strong to me. It's kind of a shame that you have to have 3 charisma, considering that's, for a lot of people, a stat that they just don't even want to play with a lot of charisma. But if you decide you want to go solo, this means not playing with the dog or Piper or Mr. Handy. I think some of the other companions have also been guessed at based on achievement stuff. This is essentially free statistics. I'm probably wouldn't recommend this for my first playthrough because companions are generally pretty, interesting for most Bethesda games. But after there, if you want to be a lone wanderer, this is, where you go. Rank 4 Charisma is Attack Dog. Your faithful canine can hold an enemy, giving you a greater chance to hit them in VATS. So this will probably just be another button prompt in VATS to get your dog to attack, and then increase. Or it could be just a move that he pulls off. We've seen some animations of him attacking enemy and like holding him to the ground. So there might be functionality of this outside of VATS as well. Animal Friend, commune with beasts. With your gun, aim at any animal below your level and gain a chance to pacify it. So this is smaller stuff like, I think, mole rats, as well as probably other dogs and things like that. My guess is that higher ranks of that makes it so that they don't have to be below your level, probably on your level eventually, and increase the likelihood of not, having to fight them. Local leader. As the ruler, everyone turns to you. You establish supply lines between your workshop settlements. We know there are multiple settlements in the game, and that if you want to participate in the base building and trading part, this is also the tree to go to get better gear. Party boy. Nobody has a good time like you. There's no chance you'll get addicted to alcohol. So that is kind of interesting as a separate thing from chem resistance now. But for just one point there, we're not entirely sure if alcohol is just the +1 strength -1 int. There might be other effects attached to it. The value of this perk is going to vary widely based on what kind of alcohol you can find in the waste. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of further perks in that are also going to be available. Charisma 8 is inspirational. Because you lead by example, your companions does more damage in combat and cannot hurt you. And then there are further ranks of that. Once again, you like traveling with buddies. Good thing to have if you want to relive the days of extremely high companion nerve and boon one-shotting enemies across the the barren waste. Like, this is where you go. Let's see. Charisma 9 is Wasteland Whisperer. Master the post-apocalypse. With your gun, aim at any wasteland creature below your level and gain a chance to pacify it. Same as Animal Friend, but this is for mutated animals like Deathclaws and probably rad scorpions. And I don't know if Yao Guai would fall into this category. I guess we would probably consider Yao Guai to be high-tier animals as opposed to high-tier mutants. And then I don't know if super mutants qualify for this as either or the next one, which is Intimidation at Charisma 10. Time to show everyone who's boss. With your gun, you aim at any human opponent below your level, and you have a chance to pacify them. Yeah, so if you want to try to go through your no-kill playthrough, which I doubt is going to be possible, but you can, spend your first point after you've put, 10 into Charisma and see if you can get enemies to lower their guns and run away as opposed to fight you. Over to Intelligence here. Let's see. First point is just vans. There are no additional ranks for this. You let Vault-Tec guide you. The path to your closest quest target is displayed in VATS. So this kind of works like the Clairvoyant spell in Skyrim. I'm guessing it probably doesn't actually show you a path, but to be able to give you a map to have a landmark pop up. It's only 1 point, and when you're fresh into the game, if you want to seed out everything that Bethesda has left for you to go questing and adventuring in, seems like a good place to put it. But if you just like to stumble across things, then you can totally just pass on it as well. Kind of a shame that if you like, this is the baseline for int, but throw your points other places. There are plenty of other things that are valuable to pick up as well. Tier 2 is Medic. Stim packs now restore 60% of lost health, and right away removes 60% of radiation. Yeah, kind of hard to, it's not an additional 60%, so my guess is that Stim packs baseline probably are 50%, maybe 40 or something like that, and the same with Radaway. So we kind of need a better idea of what the base item level is to be able to value this here. Still, Stim packs have been good in the past, and right away you're probably going to need more than you've had before. So they've already. Oh, this is the second rank here. So probably the first point in is actually 50%. So probably 10% gain, maybe, or 20%. Don't know. Gun Nut, rank 1, this person already, let's see, yeah, you shoot first, kill first, and when you have access to base level and rank 1 gun mods. So this is probably going to be pretty important for most characters, unless you're like super high into melee stuff. If you want to be able to really customize your weapons and build stuff on your own, you're probably going to be putting a lot of points into here. Don't know if there are other level requirements attached to it. Rank 4 here is Hacker. Knowledge of cutting-edge computer encryption allows you to hack advanced terminals. This is essentially lockpicking, but for computers. And we know that the mini-games are making a return, so you know, if you know how to lockpick from former Fallout games, or if you remember how the word jumble stuff works for Fallout as well, you're going to be expecting more of that. Scrapper, waste not, want not. You can salvage uncommon components like screws, aluminum, and copper when scrapping weapons and armor. So you get more stuff to build with. This is going to be, I believe, the replacement for repair, because we do know that weapons now no longer have a durability statistic anymore. So when you start getting over encumbered, my guess is that you're going to, instead of combining weapons into other weapons in order to increase their durability, you're instead going to start scrapping weapons for their parts. So if you want to, you know, if you're a hoarder, you like to gather up stuff, like everything, then, you know, at least 1 point into here, probably some more stuff in order to make better mods is going to be worth it. Science, you take full advantage of advanced technology with access to base level rank 1 high-tech mods. I believe high-tech stuff is associated with energy weapons, but it might also be power armor as well. Little bit nebulous on this stuff. Granted, we do have armor crafting in the strength tree. Chemist, any chems you take last 50% longer, far out. So we believe this is going to be like Psycho and Buff Out and Med-X and things like that. Don't know if this is going to include alcohol, but yeah, if you like to buff yourself for whatever reason, probably going to be important to have. I started to think about this also in the context of things like many a True Nerds playthrough of not healing, like you only live once. So when you start doing run-throughs associated with that, drugs might end up being much more important. Robotics expert. Machines will always serve humans if you have anything to say about it. Hack a robot, gain a chance to power it on or off, or initiate a self-destruct. 3 ranks into this. I would assume further ranks probably let you do extra damage to robots, but yeah, this is the thing, like, if you can sneak and you can interact, you can make it so you don't have to deal with robots. It's worth noting that if you want to do your pacifist run and you're going to end up running into robots, you're probably going to need this as well. And you just turn them off as opposed to blow them up. Nuclear physicists. You've learned to split the atom and command it. Radiation weapons do 50% more damage, and fusion cores last an extra 25% longer. So once again, this goes back to the fact that we know that there are radiation-type weapons. I don't know if this means you're going to be like launching like depleted uranium rounds or things like that from bullets, or if they're just specific like laser weapons. I'm guessing it's more of a late game kind of thing, but who knows. Fusion cores are, we know, associated with power armor. You need to power armor with fusion cores in order to make them go. It's essentially their fuel source. I believe there are weapons that also use fusion cores. Don't quote me on that though. If you decide you're big into power armor, high int, if you want to really make those cores go the distance, is going to be important. My guess is those are probably going to be pretty rare, well, uncommon, I guess, out in the wasteland. Don't even know if you'll be able to make them. I would probably say not mini nuke rare, but still one of those things that you're going to have to hunt out every now and then. And then finally we have returning Nerd Rage. Genius is angry. When your health drops below 20%, time slows and you gain plus 20 damage resistance, and you do 20% more damage while the effect lasts. This is, I think, better than previous iterations of Nerd Rage have been, for the main reason that you get the time slowdown effect, and that lets you do a lot of different things, like to be able to plan out your escape or to line up the critical headshot. If you're playing on some sort of hardcore mode, like we know there's not a hardcore survival mode, but if you're like deleting your save or something after one death, like if you're high int, this is probably worth investing at least 1 point in order to save yourself. Still, like this also depends on a few other factors. If you're playing like low endurance or something, some people are going to like this. Some people are probably just going to pass it up completely. Over into agility. Rank 1 is Gunslinger. You channel the spirit of the Old West. Non-automatic pistols do 20% more damage. It's worth noting, I don't think there is anything in the skill tree right now that actually refers to automatic pistols, or if that's just going to be like lumped in with automatic weapons, or if there's a later rank that makes it so automatic pistols count. Or if there are automatic pistols in the game, but I'm sure there should be if it's listing non-automatics. This is baseline, so if you decide that you want to just be a one-handed, kind of guy for dealing with, your enemies, like you don't actually have to invest that much into agility, which is kind of nice. Commando, your automatic weapons now do 40% more damage with improved hipfire accuracy. This is worth noting that the player has already invested 1 point in here into Commando. The baseline is 20%. This is an example, though, of an additional effect. When you gain another tier, you get the extra hip-fire accuracy. Sneak. Become a Whisper, become a Shadow. You are 20% harder to detect while sneaking. Sneaky Sniper, you need points here, essentially. Or just you sneaky guy in general. You're going to get down to ninja stuff later. If you want to be sneaky melee guy, probably going to be worth investing here as well. Mr. Sandman, as an agent of death itself, you can instantly kill a sleeping person. Your silenced weapons do an additional 15% sneak attack damage. So this expands the functionality of what Mr. Sandman has been in the past, besides just being the dialogue option to kill somebody in their sleep. Now if you want to specialize in using silencers on your weapons for sneak attacks, then extra points here will let you get those one-shot kills. And that is stacking on top of whatever the weapon type is. So if you're using a one-handed pistol sneaky build, then it makes sense down the agility line that you're investing points into Gunslinger and Mr. Sandman. Action Boy, there is no time to waste. Your action points regenerate 25% faster. So this is probably more important than it's been in the past because now sprinting is in the game and that drains on AP. If you want to get around faster, being able to regenerate your AP faster is a good thing. If you use VATS a lot, that's a good thing as well. This is actually Nerves of Steel from Fallout 3, as it actually gives you the regeneration. If you want more action points, you're actually just going to be getting more points of agility. Moving target, they can't hurt you. They can't hurt what they can't hit. Get plus 25 damage resistance and plus 25 energy resistance while you're sprinting. There have been some people proposing like melee heavy builds when you start out, which are going to be high strength and high agility, and stuff like moving target is really going to help facilitate that. So you're going to be spending your AP to get up in somebody's face. This is going to make it so you don't necessarily melt while you're running around. Hopefully tie things together a lot better. Ninja, trained as a Shadow Warrior, your range and sneak attacks do 2.5 times normal damage, and your melee sneak attacks do 4 times normal damage. So this is just good all around for people that like to sneak around. For both the ranged, like I said, sneaky sniper, or the up close and personal sneaky melee, like knife guy. Like both sneaky builds want this. So even for just like 1 point investment, that seems really good, and I'm sure higher ranks will probably justify it even better. Quick hands. In combat, there's no time to hesitate. You can reload all your guns faster. Don't know if baseline agility actually plays any effect on your reload speed. My guess is no. More likely than anything, weapon modification is gonna adjust baseline weapon reload speed, and then if you want to influence further than that, quick hands might be one of the only ways to do that. So probably more valuable than it's been in the past, 2 ranks of it. So if you want to really reload quickly, like good thing to take. And certain weapons obviously benefit from this more than others. Things that are single bullet reloads like revolvers, heavy weapons like missile launchers want this as well. Yeah, you get what you pay for here for this. Blitz, find a gap and make the tackle. VAT's melee distance is increased significantly. So this is good for melee builds. Yeah, use VATs. This will probably give you the sort of snap to effect that you got with VATs in the past to a greater degree with melee stuff. Not sure how melee weapon range is gonna, like, if there is baseline stuff or they all have the same. My guess is that they probably have different amounts. Like a bumper sword probably has a greater range than a knife, but just my guess here. And then finally, Gun Fu. You've learned to apply ancient martial arts to gunplay. Do 25% more damage to your second VATS target and beyond. So if you can get a bunch of people on screen, you can just sort of like go down the line. I'm curious if you go like, if you have 3 targets, you shoot 1, then 2, then 3, and then go back to 1, if that does like 75% more damage. It's kind of interesting. I don't think we've actually had a perk like this in Fallout before. So yeah, gonna be interesting. Like I said, interesting to see how this one plays out. And there are multiple ranks associated with that. Then finally we've got luck, which is actually pretty fun. Rank 1, you find even more bottle caps and containers for Fortune Finder. Get more money. Scrounger, you find even more ammunition and containers. Get more ammo. Bloody Mess, you now inflict plus 10% damage in combat. And this is the second rank of it. The first rank gives you the blood explosion effect that you find of enemies suddenly just being dismembered limb from limb because you got that lucky shot. Mysterious Stranger, who is he? Why does he help? Who cares? The Mysterious Stranger will appear occasionally in VATS to lend a hand with deadly efficiency. Yeah, Mysterious Stranger. He's cool. Idiot Savant. This is cool. You're not stupid, just different. Randomly receive 3 times experience from any action, and the lower your intelligence, the greater the chance. So this is sort of like the play into the idiot character builds that have been in the past. I don't know, though, if you get altered dialogues like you have in the past, but this is a way to solve for the amount of experience you would be losing out by having low intelligence. You can essentially make what I would probably call a dumb luck build, which would be 1 and 2 intelligence and then a lot into luck, and with a heavy investment into Idiot Savant so that you're able to stay on track. It's worth noting, though, the more intelligence you end up getting, the less effective this perk ends up playing. Don't know how that affects the later ranks, though. Still, if you have decided that the intelligence tree is not for you, and you don't want to invest any more than the 1 point that you start with there, and just get vans or whatever, or not even invest anything in there, you can put a lot into luck, which is going to influence how quickly you build up the ability to execute criticals and VATs, as well as a host of other stuff. Really cool, like it a lot, probably going to make for a interesting playthrough if you try to do that. Better criticals, advanced training for enhanced combat effectiveness. Criticals do 50% more extra damage. So we're going to assume that criticals on their start give you a baseline extra 50%. This would give it so it's probably another 100%. Probably make it so that if you invest everything in that, criticals will end up doing triple damage as opposed to just the extra 50%. It's been there in the past, and it's probably as good as it's ever been in the past. And as if it's anything like it's been in the past as well, sneak attack criticals probably also play into this as well. So once again, you like to sneaky snipe, this is where you want to be. Critical Banker. You're a patient battlefield tactician and can save a critical hit to be used in VATS when you need it the most. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know if that means that the execute critical stuff that we've seen is not necessarily baseline or not. My guess is that it is. I don't know how exactly this talent plays into stuff. If you can only build up that bar for so long being in combat and then you can't save it for later without this, this is going to need a little bit more analysis onto how it works. My guess is that later ranks of this probably make it so you build that bar even faster. Grim Reaper Sprint. Death becomes you. Any kill in VATS has a 15% chance to restore all action points. So this is the fixed Grim Reaper Sprint, but it's different from the one that we saw in New Vegas. Instead of just getting back a certain amount, you still can get back all your action points. It's just not nearly as likely until you probably get up to, my guess is like 30 or 45% for investing all into it. Still, seems really good when it ends up happening. And with more ways to be able to spend your action points, is probably more valuable than it's been in the past. Four-leaf clover, this is the fighting Irish thing that everybody was trying to figure out. Feeling lucky? You should. Each hit in VATS has a chance of filling your critical meter. Yeah, this is actually probably closer to some of the other stuff I've said before, but this is the mechanic of being able to do stuff in VATS in order to eventually at some point execute an automatic critical. If that's your play style, if you don't want to do the first-person shooting thing, but more of the turn-based like gameplay, you're probably going to want this. And then ricochet. What goes around comes around. An enemy's ranged attack will sometimes ricochet back and instantly kill them. The closer you are to death, the higher the chance. So you can sort of play like the "Are you feeling lucky punk" kind of build. Like you can get low health and then trigger Nerd Rage and then trigger ricochet. Like if you want to live on the edge. Or if you're once said doing the no heals playthrough and it's getting kind of rough near the end, you know, this is your friend as well because it might save your ass a few times. But yeah, this is our look right now, like I said, into the first tier perks. Like I said, if you want to get a full image of this, I would go check out the Fallout 4 Reddit. They've got a bunch of there's a bunch of leaked stuff up there. Most of it has been censored though, unless you start looking out and seeking it. I hope this helps some people pick out their stuff before the game comes out in like 8 days, so that you can roll the character quickly and get into exploring the wasteland. Once again, this is Kevin Harrison from Pixel Loadout. Come check us out, pixelloadout.wordpress.com.